Oops. Still have to mute everybody. Computer is going slow. You just turn off some of the things I have open. Give me 1 second. Everyone's muted. Close the windows. All right, I have too many windows open. Too many windows. Close that window. Close that window. Close that window. Close. Let's see. Oh no, keep those windows open. Okay, got everything set. We are ready to roll. Just 1 second. Okay. Ready to roll. Let me just... Hold on. One other adjustment I have to make. Okay. Okay, we're ready to go now. Let's chant. What we're going to chant before class is Mana Shiksha, which is also known as Nitai Padakamala. Nitai Padakamala Dichandra Shushitara Yechaya Jagatura Heno Nitai Binevai Radha Krishna Poite Daronitai Mahai. Yeah. Say Samananahi Ya Victor Janma Galo Tar Say Pachu Maro Durajara Nitaina Bolino Muke Ajila Samsana Suke Ahankara Matoya Nitai Badavasha Priya Asachire Sachakuri Mande Nitaya Kurula Hoibe Jai Radha Krishna Hoibe Dano Nitai Jurana Tukane Nitaya Karana Satya Kara Sevaka Nitya Nitai Pada Sadakuro Asha Narotama Paro Duki Nitai More Korasuki Rakuranga Charanera Pasha Nitai Panakamala Koki Chandra Shushi Tala Ye Chaya Ya Jagachura Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramacharya also Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chandananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Govinath Shai Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai. Maturidam Ki Jai. Jagadasami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Sarveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari 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 Bol. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni. Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Desha Tarne Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, let's read the translation. In this material world, which is progressing towards hell, there's always a blazing fire, and everyone is struggling hard without finding peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, which are cooling like the shining of millions of moons. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult to approach Radha and Krishna. Anyone who does not establish the relationship with Lord Nityananda is simply spoiling their boon of a human birth in the animal propensities of sense gratification. Never saying the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they become absorbed in so-called material enjoyment, and their academic education and birth in a high family or great nation will not protect them at the time of death. They become maddened by a false concept of bodily life, and thus they have forgotten their eternal relationship with Lord Nityananda. Such forgetful persons accept the illusory energy as factual. When you achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not an illusion. They are a fact, and anyone who engages in the transcendental loving service of Lord Nityananda immediately achieves their transcendental position on the spiritual platform, which is eternal and blissful. Therefore, always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Narottam Das Thakur says, my dear Lord Nityananda, I am very unhappy, so I am praying to you to make me happy, so please keep me in a corner of your lotus feet. Lord Nityananda ki jai, and Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. So now we're going to continue with our study of the Bhajan Rahasya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But as I promised you all yesterday, I am going to share some charts to give us an idea of basically what's happening with the Bhajan Rahasya. Okay. And I had two charts. Where's the other chart? Anyway, I had two charts, but all right. Okay. Yeah, I have both these charts. Never mind. Here we go. Okay, so let us share these charts, and I'll explain a general overview of the Bhajan Rahasya. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, first I'm going to show basically the correspondence with the different chapters in the Bhajan Rahasya with, let me just pull this up. Okay, we got it pulled up. There we go. This is very, very interesting. Give me 1 second. I guess I have to move some windows around. All right. So, as we've heard in our throughout the Mahabharata, we hear this particular verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is also in the Majja-lila, which is Ado Shradata Sadhu Sangota Bhajala Kriya Tato Narta Vritti Shatato Nishta Ruchis Tata Shakti Tato Bhava Ta Prema Bayunjati Sadakamayam Prema Pranabhava Bhavat Krama. So this verse elaborates on the different stages in devotional service. Let me read the translation, and then we'll talk about the different stages. The translation of this verse says, in the beginning there must be faith. Then one becomes interested in associating with devotees. So there's a progressive path. Thereafter one is initiated by a spiritual master and executes the regulative principles under his orders. Thus one is freed from unwanted habits and becomes firmly fixed in devotional service. Thereafter one develops taste and attachment. This is the way of sadhana bhakti, the execution of devotional service, according to the regulative principles. Gradually emotions intensify, and finally there is an awakening of love. This is the gradual development of love of God for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness. So let me make that bigger and move it around a little bit. Whoops, trying to move it around so it's blocked right now on my screen. Okay, so in other words, the different stages of devotional service are mentioned, beginning with Shraddha. Shraddha means initial faith. Make it that a little bigger so it doesn't, don't want it blocked. Okay. Shraddha means initial faith. Actually, the word Shraddha means shraddha, to give one's heart. Then when one has some initial faith or interest, preliminary interest, one begins to sadhu sangha, associate with the devotees. When you associate with the devotees, you begin to perform a bhajana kriya also, which is the process of devotional service, and then you start to get rid of the anarthas, unwanted things in the heart, like lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy, etc. Then, when you've pretty much gotten rid of them almost to nil, you become stable and steady in devotional service. As we mentioned, that means stable and steady, 24 hours a day. And then your taste, that's extreme taste for chanting, awakens. And then, that's ruchi, of course. then you become completely attached to Krishna, Krishna Ashakti, and detached from things in this material world. Then after that, you get these emotions called bhavas, and we'll get into those emotions in a later class. And then you get into the mood of vipralambha, feeling intense separation from Krishna. And finally, you arrive at the stage of Krishna Prem, which is the ultimate stage. Prema Bhajana Sambhoga means connection with Krishna or being with Krishna. Now, so each chapter of the Bhajan Rahasya, as you see here on the left-hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, pertains to a particular verse in the Shikshashtaka, and it also connects with a particular stage of devotional service, giving you instructions on how to achieve that stage. And then it also corresponds with a particular activity of Krishna at a particular time of the day. You know, first we start with the end of night, pratima, yama, or tyanta, which means the end of night. So then the second chapter, it's very easy to understand actually. Second chapter is the second verse in the Shikshashtaka, which is connected with the process of sadhu sangha, association with devotees, bhajana kriya, which doesn't say it here, but that's part of sadhu sangha and anartana vritti, getting rid of unwanted things in the heart. And that's connected with the early morning time of Krishna's life. And then the third chapter, which we're on right now, is connected with the third verse in the Shikshashtaka. And it's interesting, when you reach the stage of Trinadapi Siddhichena, which is the stage of abject humility, then you can really become steady in devotional service. Because if you don't have abject humility, well, then you'll be interested in profit, adoration, and distinction, and that's what's going to keep you from getting steady. And steadiness is called Nishta Bhajan. And this is connected with the forenoon in Krishna's pastimes. It means the time before noontime. And then you get to the point of Nidanam, Nijanam, Nasundarim, like I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, or beautiful women, or anything like that. And that's connected with a taste in devotional service, Ruchi Bhajan. And that's connected also and corresponds with the midday pastimes of Krishna. Then you get to the fifth chapter in the Bhajan Rahasya, and then you get into this extreme pleading with Krishna, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, O son of Nanda Maharaj, I'm your eternal servant. And this is called Krishna Ashakti, complete attachment to Krishna, which is a stage in devotional service. And this is connected with the Panchama Yama Aparana, which is the afternoon in Krishna's pastimes. Then you get into the sixth chapter, and that's connected. I think you all understand what I'm talking about. Sixth chapter is connected with Nainam Garo Ashru Darya, when will I feel this ecstasy? And of course it's connected with bhava, or ecstasy, or emotions. And that's connected with the evening time of Krishna's pastime. Seventh chapter is Yugayitam, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like a yuga. And that's connected to Vipralambha, obviously. Extreme separation from Krishna. And that's the late evening pastimes. And finally you have this Ashlishavāpada Ratam Panashtumam, the eighth verse of the Shikshashtaka, which is also the eighth chapter of the Bhajan Rahasya. You know, I'm explaining this again and again so everyone can understand, which is connected with prema, serving Krishna or worshipping Krishna with prema, and connection with Krishna, or the personal presence of Krishna, which is the nighttime. All right, so I think everybody understands that. And so the whole Bhajan Rahasya is literally based upon that verse. that I mentioned in the beginning from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and the Madhya Lila. And when devotees should learn this verse, it's a very, very important verse. And connected with that verse, connected with which signifies the different stages of devotional service. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want to make sure everyone understands. Which is connected with different verses in the Shikshashtaka, which is connected with different times of the day of Krishna's pastimes. Now, interestingly enough, it's also connected with different times of the day of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So let me stop sharing for a second. And we're going to briefly, very, very briefly, because very few people are qualified in this regard, going to talk about what each of the different times in the pastimes are. I know when I'm sharing too many screens, everything gets a little clogged up here. So let's go to this one. Hold on a second. Share the screen again. Let me close the first screen so we can unclog. Whoops. Hold on a second. Close the window. That's good. Uh-oh. Okay. I guess we still got everybody here. Yeah. Okay, so let's... Whoops. I closed the wrong screen. Okay. I don't think... Let me just give me 1 second. I gotta open this one thing with the Bhajan Rahasya again, because I closed the wrong screen. Bhajan Rahasya. Here we go. Okay, let's give me a second and we will open another screen, hopefully. Here we go. Okay. Here it is. All right. Whoops. Computers giving us some hiccups today. Okay. So let's... okay. So here we go. So these are the different times of the day. Just very briefly, we're going to go over the different times of the day, Krishna's pastimes and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. So you see the correspondence in the different verses of the Shikshashtaka, different stages of devotional service, and different chapters in the Bhajan Rahasya. I hope everybody's following this. It tends to get a little complicated. So the beginning, the first time in Krishna's day, in the Krishna Ashtakaliya Lila, and advanced devotees, they meditate on these pastimes in the Ashtakaliya Lila as they're chanting Hare Krishna. I don't advise it for those who are not yet advanced and seeing Krishna. This is something for a later stage in devotional service, so just so you could know what's coming ahead. So in the time between 3:36 and 6 a.m., let's just talk about, oh my God, let's talk about Lord Krishna. I know you can see Lord Chaitanya on the left-hand side too. So Lord Krishna, parrots awaken Radha and Krishna. There's love sports, there's separation, there's the bath, and then they rush home to bed so they're not discovered. The next time frame is 6 o'clock in the morning to 8:24. I'm sure they set their watches. And which, this particular time, Yashoda awakens Krishna. Krishna washes his face, milks cows, wrestles with friends, massage, bath, dressing. Radha's friends awaken her. She takes bath and dresses, and she goes and cooks for Krishna with Krishna's morning meal. And then also Krishna takes a nap in the morning because he's been awake all night with Srimati Radharani. Then 8:24 to 10:48, the cowherd boys come to Nanda's house. They and Krishna take the cows to graze, and they have games in the forest. And in 10:48 to 3:36, it's like noon, Krishna, 3:36 p.m., Krishna plays his flute and wanders in the 6th seasonal forest with his friends. Krishna meets the gopis, particularly at Radhakund. makes jewelry for them, has water sports and lotus battles, a forest picnic, and a game of dice. 3:36 to 6 o'clock, Krishna rejoins the boys and cows and returns to Braja, covered with dust, reciprocating with the plants of Vrindavan. 6 o'clock to 8:24 p.m. Krishna has a massage and bath. Rohini serves a meal. Krishna milks the cows again. 8:24 to 10:48 p.m. They clean Krishna's bedrooms. Parrots and friends are in the bedroom. Yashoda brings kheer. All friends and Krishna apparently go to sleep, and then Krishna wakes up because Krishna wants to escape. And then 10:48 to 3:36, the gopis decorate themselves and go to the forest. Krishna plays his flute. Krishna and the gopis drink honey wine and find his lost Kaustuba gem. Each gopi goes to her own bower, and Radha and Krishna sleep on the fragrant flower bed. Okay? And that's it. That's the Ashtakali Leela, which later on, when you become advanced in devotional service, you, hopefully, if you become advanced, it's a big if, you'll be able to meditate on these different pastimes while you're performing your devotional service. So that's the basic structure of the Bhajan Rahasya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And so what he's doing in the Bhajan Rahasya is explaining to us the pastimes without getting into too many of the intricacies of the pastimes. He's explaining to us the pastimes that occur at each time of Krishna's day. But what he really gets into is explaining to us how to achieve that particular level of devotional service, according to the verse that the whole Bhajan Rahasya is based on, which is Adoshrata ta sadhusango ta bhajana kriya. In other words, the different stages of devotional service. Again, I'm going to go over these different stages. In the beginning, there's initial faith, chapter 1. Then there's sadhusanga, bhajana kriya, and anartha nivritti, which is number 2, which means associating with devotees, performing devotional service, getting rid of unwanted things in the heart, and then after that, you become steady, nishta, which is number 3, and then number 4, ruchi, you get a taste for devotional service. Then after that, you get a shakti. Shakti means complete attachment to Krishna. Then after that, you get bhava, complete, emotions that are overwhelming. Different varieties of emotions are described in the Nectar of Devotion. I know I'm giving a lot of information here. And then after that, the emotions, you get vipralamba, which is intense separation from Krishna, Yugayitam Nimishena. And then after that, you get Sambhoga Prema, which means meeting with Krishna and loving Krishna completely. So each and every one of those stages is explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Bhajan Rahasya, and the symptoms of those stages and how to achieve those stages. And that's what we're reading right now in the Bhajan Rahasya. Right now, I know it sounds complicated, but it's actually quite easy to remember. If you go over my description, you can watch this video a little later and just take some notes, or if you're not taking notes now. So right now we're on chapter 3. Remember, chapter 3 deals with the nishta, or be steadiness in devotional service, and how to achieve that steadiness in devotional service. So let's go back to the Bhajan Rahasya, which I hope I have here. I may have closed that window. Give me a second, and then I can open it again. It's not a problem. Or it may be a problem with this computer slowing down. Give me a second. Problem is I have too many things open up here. All right. Let the computer catch up. Hold on a second. Just give me a second. Had it all prepared. Okay. Here we go. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry for the delay, but this is not my fault. This is the computer's fault, so blame it on the computer. Okay, hopefully we can share the screen right now. Let me see if I have to, let me close this window. All right, I think we should have enough memory to do this. Okay, returning to the Bhajan Rahasya. There we go. Fantastic. All right, wait 1 second. Here we got it. Okay. Okay, so we're on Nishta Bhajan. Sorry about the delay. Nishta Bhajan, which is actually the third verse of the Shikshashtaka. And here's how we develop Nishta Bhajan. We're on text, page 41, chapter 3 of the Bhajan Rahasya. And we read this first verse in the beginning. So anyway, so let's continue. Bhavantam evanu charan nirantara prashantani shesha manoratantara kadaham ai kantika nityakinkara bharshiyashyami sanata chivatam. Serving you constantly, devoid of material desires and peaceful, when will I, as a fully devoted eternal servant, give joy to the master of my life? So you find some hankering there. But also remember, this third verse is one of humility. That actually, I'm unqualified. Hold on. And aparada sahasra bhajanam patitam bhima bhavarna vodate agatim sharanagatam hare kripaya kevalam atmasat kuru. O Lord, out of mercy, make me your own, because I have surrendered, though I have committed thousands of offenses, have fallen into the huge, terrifying ocean of material existence, and am helpless. You have promised that you will deliver whoever surrenders to you. So in other words, again, this abject humility. And what I talked about yesterday was that humility and prema are basically one. Humility brings you prema, and prema gives you humility. You can't have prema without humility, and you can't have humility without prema. So they're practically completely connected. Because you can't be humble until you understand you're a servant of Krishna. And if you understand you're a servant of Krishna, you'll be humble. Because you understand that Jivera Surpoina Krishnas, you're not the owner, you're not the proprietor, Ishavasham Idam Sarvam, Jakancha, Jagadam Jagat. You understand everything. Krishna's the owner, he's the proprietor, everything comes from him, everything enters into him. He's the source of everything, and then all you do is Majata, Madhyata, Prana, hear and chant about Krishna. So remember, this third verse is Trinadavi Sunichinamas, which is, humility, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Another nice verse. Namrisha paramartameva me shunu vidyapaname ekamagrata agrata yadi me na vayasyase tato nani nata durlabha. Please hear my one important request to you. It is not false, O Lord. If you will not show mercy to me, it will be difficult for you to find a candidate for your mercy. In other words, if you want to really display your mercy, Krishna, you should do it with me, because you will not find a more suitable candidate to show how you are, as in the case of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Patita Pavana, or in the case of Krishna, Hey Krishna Kondana Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagatpate, Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute. And lack of pride is shown in the Stotra Ratna. Amarya Dakjudas Chalamatir Asuya Prasavabu Kritagno Durmani Smarapara Vasho Vanchana Pada Rim Rishamsa Papishta Katam Mahamito Duka Jalabde Aparad Utirnas Tava Paricharayam Charanayo. I break the rules, and am low, fickle-minded, filled with envy, ungrateful, proud, lusty, and a cheater. I am cruel and sinful. How will I cross the shoreless ocean of suffering and serve your lotus feet? Again, an expression of humility. So this is how we should be feeling to further advance in devotional service. Very, very important. Unless you're humble like this, you're not going to be stable or steady. Remember, we're at Nishta right now. Respect for devotees is described in the Stotra Ratna. Tabadasha Sukhaika Sanginam Bhavaneshvastopi Kita Janmame Itara Vasateshu Masma Bhut Abhime Janma Chatur Mukhatmana. Let me take birth as an insect in houses of devotees happily serving you. I should not take birth as Brahma, even Brahma, if there is no service to you. It sounds very much like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. Kita Janmaha Yata Tuya Das. Brahmajanme Bahirmukha Brahmajanme Nahayesh. That I will take birth even as an insect in the house of a devotee, and I do not want to take birth as Brahma if he's not a devotee. So you can see where Bhaktivinoda Thakur gets some of his information. The Stota Ratna is far older than Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings. So humility out of self-surrender is also described in the Stotra Ratna. Vapura Dishu Yopi Ko Piva Gunato Shani Yatha Tata Vida Tad Aham Tavapada Padmayor Aham Adhyayava Maya Samarpita. I may be born in various bodies according to the gunas, but I have today offered myself to your lotus feet. Sincere humility is expressed in the Krishna Karnamrita. It's a book by Bilvamangal Thakur. Nibada Murdanjalir Esha Yache Nirandra Dhainyon Nati Muktakantam Doyanidi Deva Bhavat Kataksham Dakshinya Leshena Sakrin Nishincha. O enjoyer of Rasalila, this humble soul with hands folded on her head, with wailing voice caused by constant feelings of misery, prays to you, O ocean of mercy, Please sprinkle on me even once a particle of generosity from your glance. So again, abject humility. We have to cultivate that in order to be steady in devotional service. Because as we've read previously in the Madhurya Kadambini, if you have any pride or want to be worshipped or adored or anything like that, that will be poisonous to your devotional service and poisonous ultimately to your being steady or nishta in devotional service. Eventually one performs kirtan in Madhurya Ras. It's conjugal Ras. Krishna Karnamrita says, Mai prasanam Madurai katakshar vamshi nenad danor charar videhi Twai prasane kim iha parar nas Twaya prasane kim iha parar na. Please show mercy to me by giving your glance a cause of bliss, following the indications of the sounds of your flute. If you are pleased, and show yourself at this time and place, what need do we have of others? If you are displeased and do not appear, what is the use of others? Wow. In this way, performing kirtan with nishta, soon one will develop ruchi and then attain prema. One should remember the purvana, forenoon pastime while chanting. So this, of course, is referring to the Ashtakali Lila, which we described previously. The following description is given in the Govinda Lilamrita 5.1. Purvani Dayanur Mitra Vipinim Vitinam Anushritam Goshta Lokanu Yatam Krishnam Radapi Lolam Tad Abhishriti Krite Prabdha Kunda Tiram Radam Chalokya Krishnam Kritagriha Gamanam Aryayar Karchanayai Dishtam Krishna Pravritjai Prahita Nijasaki Vartma Netram Smarami. I remember Krishna, who in the morning went to the forest with the coward boys, followed by the people of Braj, and greedy to attain Radha, walked to the bank of Radha Kund. I remember Radha, ordered by Jatila, who had made her come home after seeing Krishna, to worship the sun god, who at that place focused her eyes on the road where she sent her friends to find Krishna. This is very, very advanced meditation, of course. Obviously, most of us are not ready for this sort of meditation. However, we can understand the mood we need to cultivate to attain the stage of nishta. And as we mentioned before, that stage is attainable when one is extremely humble, abjectly humble. And of course, then we get to the Chaturtha Yama Sadhana, which is the fourth chapter of the Bhajan Rahasya, which also is connected, as we described before, with Krishna's midday pastimes, and also connected with ruchi. Ruchi means a taste for hearing and chanting. Like we find in Narottam Das Thakur's song, Goranga Balite Hari Pulaka Sharir Hari Hari Naini Bhavi Nir. When will that day come when I chant or hear the name of Gauranga and all the hairs of my body stand and tears come from my eyes like torrents of rain? So this ruchi stage is explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur as connected with the fourth verse of the Shikshastra again. And of course, we're going to read this verse. And we got a few more minutes before we take questions. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kapitam va jagadisha kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahitaki Twaye. I do not desire wealth, nor followers, nor beautiful women, nor poetry or wisdom. Interesting. All I desire, Lord of the universe, is that I may have unmotivated devotion to you birth after birth. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that house, objects, disciples, animals, grains, and other wealth, wife, sons, servants, maidservants, family members, and other followers, poetry and ornaments are considered important in this world. I have no desire to attain these. O Krishna, give me pure bhakti by your mercy. The nature of prema is that the person thinks I have not a trace of bhakti for Krishna. This is ruchi, really. In other words, to become renounced in this world, people often ask, how can I give this attachment up, that attachment? You have a taste for Krishna. Once you have a taste for Krishna, everything else pales in comparison. Oftentimes I give the example, it's just like comparing a mud pie. Like little girls, they may make a mud pie with an actual chocolate cake. Once you've eaten chocolate cake, and unfortunately I can't eat chocolate cakes anymore, but once you eat chocolate cake, then you're not going to want anything less. So, and Krishna is that, Krishna consciousness is that chocolate cake. Let me just, oops. Maybe we should stop here. Anyway, this next verse is going to be explaining how material wealth is contrary to bhakti, and that is from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But right now, it's time to take questions. And so we are on text, or chapter 4 and page 45. That's halfway through the book. So let me stop sharing. Okay, very good. Seems to be working. And so if you have a question that you want to ask, you can raise your hand by going to the reaction little heart down there and raise your hand, and then I'll allow you to unmute yourself. So, anybody have a question about any of the things we talked about, any of the topics or any of the connections we talked about? I'm sure someone must have a question. There's a lot of complicated information today. Questions? Or you can type in the chat window if you have a question. How can we stay steady in faith is the question right now. And Swapna asks. Well, first of all, we have to have faith. How do we have faith? Actually, I was listening to a class that Prabhupada was giving a few days ago, and Prabhupada said that faith comes from the association of devotees, and especially association with pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. Now, how does faith come? By the process of hearing from pure devotees. You just close more windows here. It seems like we keep getting. Hold on. It's slowing down. The computer's slowing down. All right. Give me a second. There, we've closed that. Should be better. That's better. So faith comes from the association of devotees. So how does it come from the association of devotees? By seeing the devotees, by hearing from them, by understanding their activities. For example, if we read the Prabhupada Lilamrita and hear about Prabhupada's surrender and Prabhupada's Krishna consciousness, It gives us great faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and faith in the process of devotional service. So primarily from serving pure devotees, and the faith comes from, according to the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in the heart gives faith. And actually it's interesting. Krishna says in the Gita that if you desire to dedicate yourself to a particular deity, who's not even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna will make your faith strong in the wrong thing, because that's your desire. So anyway, don't want to have wrong faith. You could have faith in the demigods, or faith in the demons, or faith in your own prowess. So faith ultimately comes from Krishna. So we have to pray Krishna for faith, associate with great devotees, have realizations, which actually gives us faith, see devotees who have been progressing in devotional service, dedicating their lives to Krishna, and this increases our faith too. And here's another question by Mr. Gopal. It was just said that there is prema. One thinks that he or she has not a drop of bhakti. But there are billions of that is yet to become devotees, who also have not a drop of bhakti. Can you please expound on the difference between the two types of people? Those who are not yet devotees don't have a drop of bhakti, but they're not lamenting about it. They're probably happy about it. You ask them, do you have any bhakti? Who cares? I don't have a drop of it. I'm happy. Don't spoil it for me. Just like I go to my brother, or I have gone to my brother. I said, would you like to hear about Krishna consciousness? Don't spoil it for me. In other words, he doesn't want a drop of bhakti. But a devotee, the difference is, a devotee is lamenting that he or she doesn't have a drop of bhakti. That's and the main difference is the devotee has bhakti and he's lamenting, and the non-devotee or yet to become devotee or whatever doesn't have bhakti, not a drop of bhakti, and he's perfectly happy about it. He's satisfied. Devotee is not satisfied. He's satisfied because he's worshiping Krishna, but he's not satisfied with his level of devotional service or his level of realization. He just wants to increase his devotion more and more and more. So that's actually a good answer. That's it. Yeah. And so, we should be honest too. If we don't have a drop of bhakti and we want it, we should be honest about it too. That's also a third category. Yeah, pure devotees who say they don't have a drop of bhakti and believe that they don't have a drop of bhakti. You have non-devotees or whatever, and who don't have a drop of bhakti, will admit they don't have a drop of bhakti and are happy about it. And then you have aspiring devotees or devotees on the path of devotional service who have a little bhakti and they also think they have not a drop of bhakti. So you got those three different categories of people who think they don't have a drop of bhakti. So everybody, of course, then you have another person who has a little advancement in devotional service, and he thinks he has a lot of bhakti. He thinks he's very advanced and he's ready to show up his level of advancement. So you have actually four different categories of people. Someone who thinks he has bhakti, and he has very little or none. Someone who doesn't think he has bhakti, and he has a lot of bhakti. Someone who doesn't think he has bhakti, and he has a little bit of bhakti. And someone who doesn't think he has bhakti and happy about it, and he's not interested in devotional service. I guess it's a type of sahaja to think, well, you don't understand the fourth type? I said 3 types. Okay. There's 4 types of people. One is a complete non-devotee who doesn't have bhakti, not a drop of bhakti, and he's happy about it. Okay, that's one type. Now, another type is a neophyte devotee who thinks he has bhakti, and he has very little, and he's proud, and that's interfering with him getting bhakti. And then you have the next type, who is like a medium advanced devotee who doesn't think he has bhakti, and he has some bhakti, but still he's humble. And then you have the pure devotee who thinks he doesn't have a drop of bhakti. So those are the four types. The fourth type you describe, in other words, the person who thinks he has bhakti and tells everybody else he has bhakti, type of sahaja, taking things cheaply. So those are the four types of people. All right, any other questions or comments? There's a lot to digest from today's class. Again, to reiterate, summarize. You got the 8 stages of devotional service, beginning with the faith. You have the 8 times of Krishna's day. You have the 8 chapters in the Bhajan Rahasya. You have the 8 verses of the Shikshashtaka. And also the 8 times in Lord Chaitanya's day, which we didn't go over for lack of time. So you have all these different things to consider. And that's what's being described in the Bhajan Rahasya, in the 8 chapters of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Rahasya. And then actually what's being described is how to attain those different stages of devotional service and what to expect when you achieve perfection in devotional service in terms of your internal meditation on the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much. We'll see everybody, hopefully, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Hopefully we'll be here tomorrow. Same time, same station. Let me see how many people were. We had 23. We had 23, 24 throughout the whole night. Okay, all glories to Divine Grace.